everybody, CW here. Okay, just a quick one, just a quick chat on the 6.506. I shot it today with a full ladder of 4831 and 140 grain match bullets. I started where I left off last time, and I stopped where I saw pressure signs. Pressure signs started at 55.2 grains, and they were in the form of a slight hard bolt lift and a little bit of shine on the bolt head, case head rather, for an ejector mark. But that was it. I've got to measure them yet. Primers are, of course, again, they're not the best, and they're not something you should only look at, but they are showing a little bit of flatness. But frankly, all the way back down here at a starting load, the top load here on the left isn't overly flatter than the load that showed pressure signs. And you can see a little bit of shine right there. And this one here was a starting load, and there's nothing. But the primers themselves are pretty close to the same. Case heads I need to measure, but there's nothing visible for a problem. Velocities, my starting load came in at 2850. Let me back out here. My starting load came in at 2850 with a 1.3 inch group. It's a little bit suspect because this was a clean barrel and that first shot was outside these two. So this was the first shot and these are the next two. So probably would have been tighter. But the next load did the same thing. It did 1, 2, 3 for a 1.5 inch group at 2860. And then the third group was 2875, and we had our best group of 5.05 inches, just over half an inch. 2 bullets in one egg-shaped hole and one just outside of those two. We let the barrel cool. We came back with a cold barrel. We shot an 870 group size at 2890. On the fifth one group, we broke 2900 for an average of 2915 with a 990, so right at an inch. The next load was 2945. That's an 860. Nice group. Again, just 3 shots, but I'm doing 3 because I'm only proving pressures, loads. I'll come back and we'll do more of these. Top load was 2,970 feet per second, and it registered 650. So it still shot really good, and it was just a little bit on the hot side. Every single case, and I fired quite a few. I fired 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, about 28 rounds. And every single one of them, the bolt lift was just nice and smooth as can be, and closed just as nice and smooth as can be. I did bring some of the nickel-plated 270 cases that I made just before I bought these Normas. And those all fired perfectly, except for that one nickel case that I had in and out of the gun so many times that it was all scarred up and marked up. Remember, it was all marked all through here because I had some kind of sharpness in my feed rails. It was scarring up the case, or the mouth of the chamber was rough. So my theory now, although I found all those things, my theory now is it was brass related, primarily brass related, but not the way I thought. Those feed rails were cutting up the case so badly, and the chamber was so rough from not being polished that somebody there on the website pointed out that it was grabbing the case. And the shininess that I saw, I don't know if you remember, but I was seeing shininess around here different places, was because that brass was stuck in the chamber. And when I opened the bolt was camming on the case head, making those shiny spots as I lifted the bolt. So polishing that chamber, cleaning the feed ramps made a big difference. I fired that one case that was really rough, really scarred up, and that one was hard to lift. Not the same. It didn't have that stop and really jam on it or hit on it to get the bolt open like it did before. It was just a firm bolt lift. It was more than a firm. It was, you knew there was a problem. But it opened up and came out no problem. I fired another piece of brass that was in and out of the gun a few times that had a few scars on it. That one was similar, not quite as hard to lift, but it lifted and ejected. I took a brand new clean 270 nickel plated case, put it in the gun. It went in nice and smooth. I fired it, opened up the bolt. It was just a hint of resistance stiffness. I went back and I fired another one of these normal 270 loads from the lightest load, the 53 grain load, like butter. Fired it, opened the bolt like butter. So I think it was largely brass related, just not as I thought, or at least I don't think it was as I thought. Certainly soft brass would scar easier, would cut easier, would mark easier, and would create those problems. So I guess it still could be soft brass issue. But this was 100% fine, this Norma, and those Federal nickel-plated cases were also fine. Not 100%, but the case that I knew would be a problem was a slight problem, but I was able to prove that it could be a problem and then go back to good known cases, and it opened just as smooth and nice as can be. So I'm going to officially say I believe that it's fixed, knock on wood, and I'm happy. I'm also happy with the velocities that I'm getting here, and the accuracy is good. I'm not thrilled with it, but I'm under an inch, so I can't really complain. I mean, 650, 550, 505, that's damn good shooting. So I can't really complain. And 2875 at 5.5, at half an inch isn't bad. Isn't bad. I kind of look at, I always used to compare it to the 264 Winchester advertised loads, and I could always match the majority of the 264 Winchester loads. And the majority of those are high 28s, low 29s. There's always one or so loads, powders, that'll hit a 3,000. I didn't hit 3,000 today, but I did hit 2970 with pressures, with 4831 powder. So a different powder could get me a little more velocity, sure. I don't really need any more velocity. If I can be solid 29s, 2950, I'll be perfectly happy. 3,000 was always my goal. So there it is. I'm really happy. There's some big holes over here and some smaller holes over here, but this was the 6.5 testing, and that's what we're just talking about here. So really quickly, I'm happy. The gun shot really well, 0 problems, and I'm going to call it fixed. Thanks everybody for all the help, all the comments, all the suggestions, and all the, straightening me out, pointing me in the right direction was really, really appreciated. God bless everybody. CW out.